Hey guys, in this video we will cover different ways to properly tape a drain. First, we will go over several different methods, both with and without the drain top, with the drain stem installed, and an alternative way to double tape sunken drains. The colors that we will be using are as listed in the chart. Each of these tapes have a specific purpose and some work better than others. The two main types that I specifically use are the green 48 and the blue 36mm. Both are very consistent, they cut well, and have leak preventage. Some tapes don't work against solvent-based coatings and can degrade with use. I do encourage you to test out different brands to see which one works best for your situation. So first we'll begin by placing a piece of tape across the center of the drain. Then we'll press it down firmly and we'll push out any air bubbles. And then create a clean crease along the edge all the way around. Once the crease is established, take your razor blade and carefully cut along the edge. Try to avoid starting your cut in the middle of the tape, as this can cause it to tear. If the tape does tear, it's usually best to remove it and start over to maintain a clean finish. Otherwise, there could be bleed throughs. Next, we'll move on to the sides. Using the same technique, apply pieces of tape to both exposed sides of the drain. I recommend allowing the side pieces to overlap slightly towards the center while leaving a small amount of excess tape on the outer edge, about 1/4 inch. This extra material makes trimming much easier and helps prevent the paper from tearing. Again, focus on creating clean, consistent creases around the entire perimeter before making your cuts. The cleaner the crease, the cleaner the final result. And that's it, the drain is fully masked. At this point, you can smooth out the tape, press out any remaining air trapped, and make final adjustments as needed. Now we'll move on to the next drain. This drain contains a lid still intact, assuming it's not removable in the field. For drains like this, it could be easier to use the smaller 36mm tape instead of the 48mm tape, as it provides more flexibility when working around contours. Start by placing a strip of tape directly down the center of the drain. The goal is to create a solid seal while reducing the amount of slack between the tape and the top of the drain lid. Next, apply 2 additional strips of tape, one on each side of the center strip. Be sure to overlap the original center tape line while leaving a little extra material on either side of the outside edge. This extra coverage will make cutting process easier and allow for a cleaner, more precise tape line. As you apply the tape, remove any air bubbles that may form. The cleaner and smoother the tape application, the better the seal will be. If desired, you can use the remaining pieces of tape to wrap around the top edge of the drain lid. This extra step helps ensure that there is no overspray that can work its way through any of the gaps during the refinishing process. Now that we have removed the tape from the drains, let's move on to the next situation you may encounter in the field: double taping a chrome stem drain. Step 1 is the same as any other of the drains. Start with a regular blue tape. Lay a strip across the center of the drain, then work your way around both sides until it's fully covered. Sometimes when applying material too thick, it can lead to paint following the curve of the substrate. In this case of a sunken drain, this tends to be very steep. The material then can tend to pull up after spraying. Depending on how quickly your material dries, it can lead to some potential issues with removing tape. The goal of this method is to be able to remove the tape so the tape will not get bridged over with the coating as it's drying. The second tape is there to protect the drain, for if whatever reason the coating takes longer to dry and bridges over the drain once more. Doing this on a regular drain is unnecessary. We recommend this only when you are forced to on sunk-in drain situations. Once the blue tape is complete, it's time to apply the yellow tape. Because the yellow tape has a low adhesion backing, it can easily be removed without pulling the blue tape beneath it. I recommend starting with the lead tab. Take one piece of yellow tape, fold it over on itself, and place the sticky end on the center of the drain, just shy of the edge. This gives you something to grab when pulling the tape off. The next piece of tape goes directly over the tab, overlapping it along the full length. Continue overlapping each piece until the entire drain is covered and all the edges are sealed. Cut each piece before applying it to the next. This keeps your cuts clean and precise. Once the drain is covered, carefully trim only the yellow tape around the edges. Be cautious not to cut into the blue tape layer. Damaging that layer can cause a failure in your tape seal, causing bleed through. If you're concerned about the lead tab flapping around, simply tape it on the other side. It doesn't matter if the yellow tape isn't fully sealed in the center because it will be eventually removed. The blue tape is what actually stays in place until the coating is fully cured. Then you can remove. And just like that, your double tape drain is complete.